creating more leads from your website. And we're really honing in on international web optimization today. And the big question, if you want to start selling overseas or you want to sell more overseas, is how visible are you on the international web? If there are prospects or clients anywhere in the world looking to potentially purchase your products or services, can you be found? Are you easy to find, easy to contact, and easy to do business with? And of course, in every region of the world, there are different search engines, and we will be talking about that down the line. I'll probably talk about Google, but I am referencing all of the search engines who work in very similar ways, but actually there are some key differences between them. And you will know now from yesterday's webinar, if you were able to join us, that there are 2 visitors to every website. There are people, and we need to build trust with them, but there are also the spiders, the software programs from the search engines who come to our websites on a fairly regular basis and take all of that information back to Google, and that's what powers searches. The search engines connecting your prospects and your customers with your website offer, and the way they do that is essentially through keywords and whether you are actually matching the keywords that customers type into search with the words and content that you have on your website. So we're going to be exploring this today in terms of, are you visible on the international web? It's a really big question, isn't it? And how do you know? What I would suggest to you today, if you have a sheet of paper at hand, I will be calling out some actions that you can jot down and think about in terms of your action planning at the end of the session. But what I'd like to suggest to you for starting the process of checking whether you're visible on the web is to actually go on to an Incognito Session on Google. And up in the top right-hand corner under the cross, you'll see 3 little dots. And if you click on there, it will bring up an incognito browser. Why is that important? Well, Google tracks where you are and how you're searching, and they will serve up results that are local to you. By going incognito, you can get a more accurate picture. It's not 100%, but it's a more accurate picture of how your website and how your products and services show up on international searches. You may well on Google need to go down because we are still set up here for the United Kingdom, as you see. But on the right-hand side, you've got your settings, and you can go in there and you can select different countries. So before you go on, for example, google.de, you can make these changes in an incognito browser, and you can then bring up google.de and do some searches for your brand name, for your products, for your services, and it will give you more of an idea as to how visible you actually are. And that is what we are looking to achieve today, that you are really easy to find no matter which region or country in the world you are wanting to target. The customers and prospects there are readily able to find what you have on offer, and that you are easy to contact no matter where. And the more ways of getting in touch with you that you give your customers, the harder that will work for you. Get in touch through chat, fill out a form, send me an email, contact me through LinkedIn or other social media channels. Let's, request a call back. So having all of those different ways of getting in touch make you much easier. And of course, if you're more local in terms of your offer, then people will feel more comfortable about making contact with you. And of course, easy to do business with. So this is all about you putting yourself in your customer's shoes and presenting them a way of engaging with your offer and making it really simple for them to take the next step. Part of that, and we talked about this a great deal yesterday, is this principle of thinking global, act local. You need to be giving clients the confidence that you are able to look after them well, no matter where in the world they are, that you can service their needs, really look after them well, and give them a quality experience. That doing business with you globally, cross-border, will be accessible and it'll be a good experience. Clients, however, do prefer acting local. They prefer to buy from people local to them that clearly demonstrate that they understand them, that they have experience working with them, that they're in country. So part of what we're doing when we are presenting our website and online offer is trying to make ourselves look as local as possible, trying to offer the client an experience that is conducive to their country or region, where they can see people like them on the website and they can feel comfortable that you understand them and that you know what their wants and needs are. So Google knows that people prefer buying from someone local, so they will obviously give preference in the search engine results to websites with local content and local contact information. So that is one of the elements that goes into ensuring that you get good search results. And overall, in the algorithms, Google will look at over 240 elements of your website and how it's performing and engaging to actually decide what position you will get in the search engines. And if you're not on page one, you're losing over 90% of your traffic, and we want you ideally up there in the top 4 or 5 search results. The second aspect is trust. Obviously, people coming to your website need to trust you and have confidence in you that you can take good care of them. But also the search engines need to trust you that your website is a good offer for the customers who are using their search engine to find what it is that they need. So trust is a really big issue. And yesterday we talked as well about how trust is about the extent to which either customer believe you're competent and capable. Are you really good at what you do? Are you producing quality products and services? Are you the go-to expert in your field? Because share that content with me, and that will build up my respect for you, taking me out of distrust. On the bottom axis, we are looking at the extent to which the customer believes you care about them. So really showing that you put the customer first will move you from distrust to affection. How well are you going to look after me? Is this experience on your website and doing business with you, communicating with you and doing business with you, is that going to work well? And the respect and affection will bring trust. And there is a great chap in the States called Zig Ziglar who says, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. The second principle is put yourself in your customer's shoes. We definitely know that customers can be more effectively targeted, and it is cheaper to target them for you if you actually really understand what their wants and needs are. So getting really familiar, really clear about your customers, who they are, how you can engage with them, how you can talk to them, and what content you need to deliver them in what way, using what tone and approach, is critical to your digital marketing and your optimization working well for you. So what does this look like? Well, you're behind the camera, the cameraman, and or the camera woman, and you've got a fantastic view of the world. It looks great. You understand everything about the business. The client is on the other side of the camera. They do not understand anything about your business, and they're reliant entirely upon your marketing to understand what it is that you have to offer. So keeping it up to date, keeping it relevant, and keeping it really engaging so that you can be found. Clients like what they are reading, and it encourages them to get in touch with you is very, very important. We'll be talking a lot more about this today, but the average attention span as we are waiting for that first impression to kick in on the internet, is a 1.7 second minuscule amount of time. And within that time, we can read no more than 7 to 10 words. So it's really important on every single page on your website that you have a headline there that's keyword rich, that really gets across to clients what it is that the offer is. These will become your meta titles and your meta descriptions, which we'll talk about shortly, and the headlines on your pages. Every page needs that title where it's clear what this is about. So getting to grips with this is really important, building that trust, presenting a really good offer, and doing it from the customer's perspective, really putting yourselves in their shoes and telling them what you can do for them, not necessarily telling them just what it is that you do. And of course, focusing on the benefits is incredibly important. And Steve Jobs was the master of doing this. When he launched the iPod Nano, he got up on stage, held it up and said one sentence, really focusing on the benefits to the customer. And it was 1,000 songs in your pocket. And that was it. The entire auditorium got it. They leaped to their feet, they're cheering. So it's telling your customers what you can do for them. What are the benefits to them of engaging with you? And that's a great point to put down on your action plan list to consider. If you review all of your content from that perspective and start using that principle, your content will most certainly work much harder for you. We also know that 90% of people are going to check you out online, according to Forrester research, before they make contact with you. So we really need to be ensuring that this first impression that people get and what they find and how attractive and confidence building that is to them is really, really important for you. So I am now going to ask Amanda to take our poll live. So we've got a couple of questions here for you, and I would invite you please to access the live poll and just have a look at the different questions there. Select the one that feels most relevant to you. And I always love doing these. It's just really interesting to see where your priorities. So at the bottom, or I beg your pardon, you should see the poll live. Just select the one answer that feels right for you. Gosh, so we're getting a lot on keywords and key phrases, researching those in other languages, adapting your website to different countries and cultures. Conversions is always a big issue, but measuring performance and maintaining your website also quite high. So that looks really interesting, guys. Thank you so much for sharing that. And of course, you know, conversion rates are really important. Defining your strategy, how you convert enquiries into sales is really important. But very interesting to see that. So thank you very much for that. So forgive me 2 seconds. So globalize your marketing. And this is a really important aspect of the program, the 10 different webinars that we are looking to share with you during the course of the next weeks. And, you know, this webinar series, we had one yesterday, Globalize Your Market, and international website optimization is today. And then next week, we're looking at how to manage your internationalization project, which will take you through the process of defining what you want your new website to be, whether you're refining your existing one or building a brand new one, and either selecting new web developers or working with your existing web developers to ensure value for money and to ensure that you are going to get the very best website possible. So we'll look at developing that brief, because if you don't have a tight brief or specification, the project may well struggle. So it's developing that brief, getting clarity across the team, understanding what you need to know, and actually being able to deliver the project. We then go into 2 LinkedIn webinars. The first one on making a great first impression and really getting your profile up to speed, making sure that it looks great. You've got all of the relevant content in there. You know how to make connections, and you know how to get the connections to engage with you and start building a relationship that will hopefully start leading to some interesting conversions and potential sales. In the second webinar, we do a deeper dive into LinkedIn's advanced search and tactics around using that, and then extending the net that you want to cast by way of reaching out to more prospects and potential clients, and look at the content you're creating, looking at posts and articles on LinkedIn, and how you can combine that in a good business development approach. So very appropriate for the UK and international, very appropriate for B2B and B2C. After that, we focus in on digital marketing essentials for exporters in times of change, and all of the other tools and tactics that you can be using, as well as content and such like, and how to add value to the rest of your digital marketing to maximize the results that you are getting. Then we'll be looking at increasing sales and managing stress for busy exporters. So really doing a stock take of how you're managing that sales process, how that's working for you, how you can improve that, but also this important element of managing yourself and managing the team or supporting the team, and making sure that you are staying in a good space from a well-being perspective and performing at peak. And that is really what's critical here. If you and the people in the business are performing at peak, then the business results will be improved as well. And finally, then a wrap up with 7 top tips for business development from home. A bit about how to manage home working or remote working and virtual teams. We'll focus in on that a lot. And what are the top things to think about, particularly at the moment in this phase leading up to things opening up, where you can be doing more business development and getting things in place to support you when we have more freedom, which sounds particularly attractive, doesn't it? So, sorry, just before I go on, there are 2 further webinars the following week. We are waiting to see what feedback and questions come from our audience, whether you want some essentially surgery sessions where we go into some of these areas in more depth. So please do come back and talk to us, or whether we repeat one or certain sections of the webinars, especially for you. So we're looking to tailor those last 2 webinars specifically to needs and requests that come through from you. So don't be shy, get back to us if there's something that is close to your heart. As part of this wonderful program of webinars, you have the opportunity to spend an hour with me online, where I will do my very best for you with the expertise and experience that I have, to help you with any aspects of your marketing and digital marketing to increase international sales. So really any aspect. You will By joining the one-to-one session in advance, get a professional website effectiveness audit report on your website, which is written. It's quite comprehensive and it has a lot of guidance in there. So I will share that in advance of the meeting, but you can use that one-to-one session for anything that is productive and beneficial to you. It could be to look at your website. It could be to work on your LinkedIn profile. It could be to talk through your content strategy or how you engage with clients in the marketplace. It could be about your business development. It could be about researching markets. It could be about your export strategy. There are many things we can focus in on there. At the end of the webinar today, you will get an email follow-up and you will be able to go in and automatically book your one-to-one session with me. However, you can also just drop me a message on LinkedIn. You'll find my contact information on LinkedIn and we can arrange that session for you, whatever is easiest for you. There will be a brief eligibility check because it is for businesses in the Yorkshire and Humber area. I have done a lot of these sessions and we generally get really great feedback. It's just dedicated time on specifics for you and your business. Engaging and very insightful, plenty of advice and food for thought. We got lots from it. And, you know, I felt really confident and remotivated again. And sometimes we benefit from a little bit of support from someone to just get us back into gear again. So it'd be lovely to work with you on your one-to-ones. Please do send through any requests and hopefully I can look forward to seeing you then. So our agenda for today is the international business case. You know, it's a lot of work building a website for the UK, but actually, if I'm going to build an international website, that's more work, it takes more dedication, it's perhaps a bit harder for us because we're not so familiar with it. So why should we do it? What return on investment can we potentially expect? We'll look at your website strategy, we'll look at international domains and how to set those up and procure them, and also techniques around models that other companies have used that might serve you well. We'll look at world-class website design and what does that actually mean, and I'll be providing you with some examples of that. And then we'll dive into SEO basics and keyword research and how you can go about that. And it is, you know, preliminary information on SEO, but really the basics and the fundamentals that are most important. And finally, I've done a roundup of SEO tips for 2021, where we feel things are moving and what's important for you to focus on. And at the end, a little bit of time for you just to think of your top 3 takeaways from today. So again, this is quite a comprehensive view of SEO because, as we know, there are over 240 aspects that go into ensuring that your website and digital offer will perform well on the search engines. So what you will leave with today is understanding what makes a world-class website, how to adapt it for different countries and cultures so that you are easy to find and engage with, but also attractive to people who have very different preferences and behaviors online. You will know how to target international customers to increase sales, be visible and perform well on international search engines, and be able to create great international content. We'll talk a little bit about introducing languages into your website, all with a view to increasing global sales. So, the international business case. Let's just take a bit of a look here at, why should we develop an international offer here? And is it really worth it? So we've got here the top 20 internet countries as of December 2019. I've given the references below where you can watch out for more up-to-date information coming through. And China is up at the top there, India, the United States, Indonesia, etc. The UK is down in number 15 here. I've not squeezed all of them in because I wanted you to be able to see this nice infographic. But in the figures, it will give you the numbers of internet users in millions. So this is, it gives you a perspective as to which of the countries actually are performing well in terms of internet take-up. I would hasten to add, in areas of China, India, the USA, for example, you will find areas that are very switched on to digital, and you'll find huge areas that are really quite digitally poor. So in terms of countries, you then have to drill down a little bit further, and I'm sharing some resources shortly that will help you to do that. You will find more information on these stats at Internet World Stats, who I'm very grateful for this information. Another great resource actually for statistics, just thinking of it now, is a website called statista.com. Statista.com. So that might be another one that you find useful. We then have the top 10 languages on the internet in millions of users. English is still the most popular, but of course, please bear in mind that only 17% of the world's population actually speaks any English at all. So 83% of your audience do not. And we'll come on to some more of these statistics shortly that I think give a very interesting perspective. Chinese is the next most important language. And then we have Spanish. And if you take Spanish, for example, in Spain, we have 47 million people across the globe, 344 million people that are typing inquiries into the internet in Spanish. So it kind of gives you a bit more of a feel for whether you want to also target countries, or whether you want to target languages. And that is a key decision we will be reflecting on. Another aspect to think about when you are considering this is that Spanish is spoken in 26 different countries across the globe. So you want to be checking into this information, and there are two websites I would recommend. One is ethnologue.com, L-O-G-U-E at the end, ethnologue. And the other one is Wikipedia, where you can find some good statistics on languages and use of languages in respective countries. So do explore this because it is important to your overall strategy and approach. Now, this is a great website for checking a whole range of different statistics, gsstatcounter.com. And here I have done a search result for you that's looking at search engine market share worldwide as of January 2021. And you'll see Google has nearly 92%. We have Bing, Yahoo, Baidu, Yandex, DuckDuckGo. So it's interesting, you know, they're obviously very dominant. However, if we then go to the United States of America, you see a little bit of a shift. Google is not quite as dominant. The others are taking a little more market share. But if you are thinking of going to China, then Baidu is dominant. Google actually only have 2.58% of the market share in China. Now, Baidu is a great search engine. It operates very similarly to Google, unlike when I first started in the early 2000s. They do present information now in English, not just in Chinese, and they have some fantastic tools. So we'll be inviting you during the course of this webinar to actually sign up for Google Search Console and the other search engine webmaster tools so that you have a relationship with them. They have all got a wonderful bag of tricks and tools that you can use to upskill and to find information and to understand what best practice is and how to work on that particular search engine to optimum effect. We can then look at Russia. And in Russia, Google's just sneaked ahead with 51%. Yandex, the main search engine there, 46%. So it really varies from country to country. So you do need to be researching what search engines people are using. The other thing you can look at, just by way of interest, on GS Stat Counter is social media take-up. Here we see in the worldwide viewpoint, Facebook has 69.8% of the audience on social media. Pinterest, Twitter, YouTube, a lower result, but still very visible. If we go to China, however, you will see that Facebook again drops to 2%, as you'd expect. We've got Reddit up there, important resource. And of course, China, whether you're looking at social with Sini Weibo, Renren, etc., they have their own tools that they give preference to. So useful information to know. So the big question, should I go global? Well, it is a proven capital investment light way to approach rapid international growth. And I think particularly during COVID over the last year or so, we have all embraced digital in a different and meaningful way. And in some cases, obviously reap the benefits, lower overheads and a bigger reach. And we are really getting to grips with this aspect of engaging with people online. The UK is one of the most advanced e-commerce markets in the world. There are some markets such as India, such as Lithuania, such as some countries in Africa, Nigeria and other regions where the rate of e-commerce growth is really exponential. It's going through the roof. 70% of online searches are not in English. So actually using languages on your website to give the client a better experience is something that we recommend. So you may want to start off in English, but consider using languages. It can increase your sales by 400%. They're 4 times more likely to buy from you if your website addresses them in their own language. Visitors will also stay twice as long if a website is in their own language. And we know even if people have English language skills, 90% tell us they still prefer to visit a website and engage with it in their own language. So web savvy SMEs are going to be bringing in more than double the revenue through exporting that SMEs will bring in if they're not using digital. So I think hopefully some fairly compelling reasons there for you to engage. So yesterday, the lovely Amanda, who's supporting us today, sent you through a checklist that if you are able to access that at the moment, if you haven't got it, Amanda has very kindly put the link to the checklist in the discussion forum, which you'll find on the bottom bar. Take a few moments, take a breather, have a look at the checklist, and it's just to read through and see how are we doing. I've picked out various different areas for you to read through. Just take a look at it and give yourself a tick or a cross or a score from 1 to 10. It's entirely up to you how you wish to do it. But this is a great checklist to run through in terms of all of the different things that you need to be doing. So I'll give you a few moments just to have a look at that. That is great. Hopefully there's some meaningful questions on there for you that really inspire you and start getting you thinking about various aspects of your international website optimization. So if you feel like we're disposed, please drop some comments into the Q&A. If we can keep the discussion forum for your own chat, but please drop some comments into the Q&A if anything resonates with you. And we've got questions up here like, does the homepage make the right first impression? Am I focusing on the client when I'm communicating with them? Have I got clear calls to action on my website? Have I got testimonials up there which will build trust? Am I adding keywords to my website that are relevant to international customers? So lots of questions there, just geared towards getting you to think a little bit more about all of these different elements. Do you have Google Analytics up there reporting back on your website and telling you how hard your pages are working for you? What about translations? Were they done by native speakers? Have you set some goals and measures for your website and your social media? All important aspects. So if anyone would like to make some comments or ask a question before we head on to the next session, then please do drop your questions into the Q&A box. I have it open, so I'll do my best to answer any questions you may have straight away. I do hope you're finding the checklist important and useful. I will recommend to you, and maybe this is something to go onto your action plan as well, that you pick this checklist up maybe every quarter or every 6 months and just take a look at it and run through it and just ask yourself, well, how are we doing now? And look back at what you had previously. So I'm assuming that you've got to grips with that and taken a look through that. So thank you very much. So the next session, or section rather, we're looking at your international website strategy. So what we recommend is a 3-step approach to your digital strategy, and we did broach this yesterday and we'll be going into it in a little bit more depth today. So on the left-hand side, number 1 is get it right in English first. In order to develop your international digital strategy, you need to have a strong foundation to build on. So you really do need a UK website in UK English that is well built, well designed, has great navigation and delivers good results for you. You will need good UK content, and what I recommend clients do is look at the Plain English campaign.co.uk, plainenglish.co.uk. The Plain English campaign really provide a lot of useful resources and advice and support to clients that want to write quality English. And there is a knock-on benefit to this down the line, because if you can simplify and reduce the content, it is cheaper for you then to get that translated. Simplifying and reducing the content down also means that international clients who have English as a second language find your content easier to engage with. So make sure that your website and your digital marketing is performing well for you in UK English. Step 1. Step 2 is thinking global. So introducing maybe an individual international page into your website where you can start to say to clients, this is the offer. This is our product and service offer, because any business visiting another business's website, and it's just a few percentage less for consumers visiting a website, want to see the product offer first and foremost. Way over 90% of people are looking for, is this relevant to my search? So you need to be presenting a solid offer to your customers. So that international page sets out the product and service offer, then a little bit of content about why they should trust you. So a bit about you, how you do business, who you are, the background to the company, etc. So really bringing some authority and credibility into your content and what you're presenting. And then the sales process. How does it work? What happens differently if I'm in another language? And then essentially how to get in touch with you. And you might want to add some FAQs on there, which will help to minimize the level of international enquiries. So that could just be a section in the website, a subdirectory section, essentially a landing page with various different sections on there that's relatively easy to do, and you keep that in English. Now, international or global English is simplified. You want to keep the sentences short. You might want to use bullets, bold or underlining. Less content is more. And Mark Twain did say, I would have written less, but I didn't have time. It's not an easy thing to do, but it's a very productive thing to do. And of course, for international, you'll be wanting to think about using images, infographics, visuals that take the burden from them of having to read a foreign language and understand and digest it. So add international pages, reflect also on language, because there are many different words that mean different things from country to country when using English. So for example, we did some work with a company that trains nurses and doctors on how to give injections, for example, vaccinations and immunizations, and this was a good few years ago now, and they were optimizing for vaccination. Well, in Australia, which was one of their markets, they call it immunizations, and in the United States of America, you take your children to the doctors to get them a shot. So, you know, the terminology changes, and if you're not using the right words in the right country or region, then the search engines can't match your search, your website with the client's search results. So it's important to get that right. So you need to reflect on the language, and you will need to create the right keywords and the right content in global English. The third step is then to look at acting local. And what we recommend here again is a step-by-step approach of adding country pages or landing pages, a section in the website, again as a subdirectory section perhaps, where you are adding content, images, words and video that reflect that particular country or region. You have the content translated into the local language. And again, it could be that one landing page that you include in your website, but you can, in Google, and we'll be looking at this, geo-target that page to a particular country, so that if someone in Germany, for example, is searching for what you have to offer, they can be offered that subsection of your website first in their own language with images that make them feel more at home, because you have geo-targeted that in Google or Baidu or any of the other search engines that are relevant. So giving the client a quality experience, addressing them in their own language, and we've understood from the statistics why it is important to do that. You'll need to decide whether you're targeting countries or languages, and we'll come on to that in a second. But hopefully that approach will help you to build up traffic enquiries and business in that particular region that will then support a business case eventually for you to develop a dedicated local website on a local domain that could be hosted in country, where you're doing local marketing and you've perhaps got partners in country, distributors, agents, partners, wholesalers, retailers, etc., that you can do joint marketing collaborations with to more optimum effect. It's important here to do your SEO, your keyword research in the SEO in the native language. So you will need the support of an experienced translation company that have native speakers who understand the language, understand principles of search engine optimization, and who also have sector knowledge. If one person isn't able to offer all of those skills, you may need to get the translation done by an agency and use your agents, distributors, or partners overseas to check the content, or if they do the translation work, to get an agency to check the content, which generally costs 30–40% of what a translation project would. So some different aspects there for you to think about. In its simplicity, step 1, get it right in English first. Step 2, introduce some English content in global English that can start that process of reaching out to a broader global audience and increase sales. It will also give you an indication across the globe of where the interest, which countries that is coming from. And then finally, adding some foreign language content on country or language pages that will hopefully lead to you wanting to do a dedicated website as your export sales grow. You don't have to do it in that order. Some clients that I work with go immediately to building a dedicated website for that country because they're focusing on 1 or 2 countries and they want to do it in that way. Other clients may just add a few international or language pages and that is sufficient for them. So I just wanted to set out the whole journey for you so you can decide what is the most appropriate for you and what best fits your business model. So let's just tune in a little bit on this aspect of your strategy and who is the customer. And it really is important to do a full profile of your target customers, to understand what organizations you want to target, and to understand who is the decision maker in each of those organizations. And above all, what are their behaviors, their wants and needs, and their buying preferences online, their communications preferences. We talked about that yesterday in more depth. You will have access to the global marketing webinar. So if you weren't able to join us, please do go back and have a look at that. Customer profiling, sometimes it's called customer archetypes or avatars or human-centered design, is absolutely critical to the success of your global marketing strategy and your digital marketing strategy and how the website and social media resources perform for you, because you are developing those resources for them. Without a customer, there is no business. So it's really important to understand how to communicate with the different types of people. In terms of country or language targeting, in the top right-hand corner, preferably of your website, not down at the bottom, and I'll explain why later, in the top right-hand corner of the website, you want to give people the option of selecting a country or a language. And my recommendation is do not use flags if you are targeting languages. Please use flags only if you're targeting countries, because if you put the Spanish flag up there and the visitor lives in Latin America or in the west coast of America, they will not feel any particular affiliation to the Spanish flag. So it's quite an emotive thing. So just use the name of the languages if you are targeting languages. And it's this aspect of 47 million people in Spain, where you can go very niche and perhaps get more beneficial results, or whether you're taking a broad brushstroke approach to targeting Spanish as a language with 344 million people across the globe. The other aspect to your digital strategy is securing the .com or a generic top-level domain. If you are still on a .co.uk, and I know some of you are, then it's important to reflect whether you can and want to buy the .com or another generic top-level domain like a .net or a .biz or a .info or a .co, for example, because they perform best in global search. Is search really important to your business model? That is the million-dollar question. If it is, and you want to maximize search, then please seriously consider getting a generic top-level domain. You can pop that down on your action plan list as well. It does take some careful consideration and thought, however, because if you have a lot of traffic coming to the .co.uk, particularly if you are in retail, for example, or you get a lot of enquiries through the website, that process of switching from the .co.uk to the .com can mean a dip in traffic, particularly if that transition isn't done well using 301 redirects from the .co.uk to the .com, which is the proper way of doing it. Obviously doing it at a time which is not high season peak time for you, and doing it alongside a marketing campaign to try and boost more traffic to the website. So there are ways of going about it. If, however, you do decide that you want to stick with the .co.uk because the traffic you've built up over the years is very valuable, then I would very much recommend considering other forms of marketing like social media, content marketing, advertising, and more traditional methods of marketing, or using other partners to support your marketing efforts to ensure that you get that level of traffic to the website. So securing the .com will open you up for search. .co.uk is a country code domain name that is engineered to work well in the UK, but not in other countries. So if you imagine when we're searching here, you will not generally see foreign language or websites from other countries. You will see English websites on .co.uk's, .coms, or other generic top-level domains in English. Adversely, if clients are searching internationally, they'll find the .coms, they'll find their own country code domains, they'll find other generic top-level domains, but you will struggle to make your .co.uk visible. So please do reflect on maximizing search through securing the .com domain name. So in terms of international sections, I wanted to bring you here an example of how this looks. And in the top right-hand corner here, you see in the navigation, third from the right, there is a tab saying international. And the domain name, Aaron has secured the .com domain name /international. This is a subdirectory structure, which is what I recommend for you. So you don't have to buy a new domain. This is something that you can create, or your web developers can create for you. But in this section, he's really given the feel and flair of him as an international business, available to you worldwide. He also explains how they work internationally, and he's included some success stories. Those testimonials are also on occasions from international customers as he's building up his international traffic. The frequently asked questions come next, which are all about, can I work with you regardless of location? Can you work with us and support us, do speaking events or training or coaching? Delves into some of these aspects of working internationally. And of course, he set out his offer very simplistically on this landing page in terms of the 3 elements that he is looking to promote across the globe. So it's a relatively easy thing to do, to include a new international section in your website. You can, of course, decide that you want to internationalize the whole website and talk about how you do business in the UK, and how you do business internationally across the whole piece. That is your choice, but for those of you who haven't made that start, this is a nice, easy way to make a beginning. So here is a website from the Nigel Wright Group where they have got a template for their UK website, and they have used that whole template to actually present different country offers. So France, Denmark, Germany, Norway, Sweden, and the Netherlands. And they have essentially taken out the English language content, set it up on a .com/UK or a .com/FR, DE, etc., DK for Denmark, and presented that to their clients. And I think it works really well, and it's a very cost-efficient way of going about doing it. So they're taking out the English content and they're replacing it here, for example, with the Swedish content. So a really good way, again, to start doing this. You can take this approach in terms of landing pages. You could essentially take a cut of the most important pages on the website and present your offer in this way. The other suggestion I sometimes make to clients is that they buy the local domain name. So the nigelwright.com/SE, and they construct their landing page in Swedish with relevant content to their Swedish audience, but they buy the nigelwright.se domain name, use that on their marketing, and they 301 redirect that domain name to this subdirectory section on the website. That way, in terms of the marketing, you appear a local Swedish-based company, and you'll hopefully have an address in Sweden on the website. It may be a virtual office, but it definitely would help. And that then points towards the Swedish section that's all managed within your main website. So again, that's a nice step-by-step way for you to develop that approach. I've then taken the example of Airbnb, who have created a dedicated website for every country and region. And I do really like Airbnb's approach. I think in terms of building a website for trust, Airbnb is definitely the best example you could wish to find, because they were chased out of the room by many investors who were encouraging people to invest in a business that essentially wants you to open up your home to strangers, and nobody thought it would work. So they knew that the website had to be built to generate trusted relationships, otherwise their business concept was just not going to get off the ground. So a great example of an international website, and again in the top right corner here, you have a world, you have a globe, and when you click on there you will see all of the different countries, and sometimes in terms of countries you will get Belgium, for example, that is offering French or Flemish, or you'll get Switzerland offering Italian, French and German. So they're really giving a top quality offer to their client base. For those of you that are interested in exporting to Germany, please bear in mind there that it is a legal requirement that you include what we call an imprint page, Impressum it's called in German, which is information about you, the supplier, to your customers, opening up and disclosing your information. So your registered trading address, your registered trading number, you have to name the directors in the business, and it is often good practice to put maybe your policies and procedures up there. Some people name their bank or their accountants. You don't have to, that's not a legal requirement, but it's a page about you which gives customers the confidence to do business with you. If you do not have an imprint page, you will not do particularly good business online in Germany because it's an expectation. So there's an example of Airbnb's imprint, and you'll see here, bottom right hand corner, it's in the footer, which is where you would expect to see it. But people do check you out. In Germany particularly, they do want to know who they're doing business with. So Techly are a great example. Here they've set up on brand their .com domain name. If you click on the Polish mug of tea, it will take you to www.techly.pl. And of course, you can see as we go from page to page, this is the Polish offer, this is the USA offer. So they've actually bought techlyusa.com. Most of the other domain names are the local country code domains. So we've got .ca, .com.au, .fr, etc. for the other countries. But for the USA, they have included the USA in the URL because that just resonates with your audience, and it also helps a little bit taking what is a global domain name and targeting that specifically to the US. So I have a few slides here that are bullet pointed for you so that you have a bit of a checklist here. And of course the recordings of this will be sent out after the session, so please do let me know if anybody would like the PDF of the presentation. Very happy to send that to you as well. Please drop a note into the Q&A. So this checklist, first of all, secure a .com or a generic top-level domain. Get an international section if you wish on a subdirectory section. You can use subdomains, but I do prefer subdirectories. I've set out both of them here for you in terms of country-specific and language-specific pages, so you can see the difference. But I would prefer subdirectories. They're more familiar to your audience and people make less mistakes when they're typing them out. You can also go for language country code domains as well. You know, if you were doing training.com, for example, you could take formation.com or .fr for your local language version of that particular domain name. You can in China, for example, and Russia, you can buy domain names in the actual local characters if you wish. But I don't think I have any clients that do that. They tend to stick to the English version. So your international domain name checklist, obviously get a generic top-level domain so you're maximizing search. Reserve other generic top-level domains if you wish. They can work well for you. And of course, look at these local country code domain names, either the company name .fr or this aspect of keyword domains, which can work really hard for you, and the internationalized domains there. We then have two different ways of directing clients. First of all, the example of Apple. They bring everybody into apple.com, and from there you can select which country or region you want to go to. And they've set those up on subdirectories, as you can see, apple.com/UK, FR, DE, to channel them through to the region that they want to visit. In the case of Adidas, Adidas have set it up such that when you select that country offer, it takes you directly to a dedicated local website for that particular region. So adidas.co.uk, adidas.fr, adidas.de. There's no right or wrong way of doing it. It is about doing it the way that is right for you, for your business model and the way you have your export sales established and what will work best for you. So some techie stuff for you here. There is a need for you to check, and of course WordPress and Joomla and Drupal and all of those great content management systems will support multilingual. You might need an additional widget or plugin, but they all have language modules there. Please also check if you're using any extras in terms of international or multilingual forms to make sure that they are also available in different languages. If you have got a content management system on your website that is bespoke, your developers have perhaps created that, or it's an unusual content management system, then please check that it is supporting multilingual accents and scripts. Make sure that you have the right language declaration there. This is in the coding, so you may want to check with your web developer. Google doesn't reference this anymore in terms of SEO benefit, but it is important to tell the search engines which language this particular page is written in. And we will talk shortly about href lang tags that are important to your SEO. So it's important to get this in and get it right. So for the UK, for example, you would put lang equals lang equals en-GB. Please don't use UK because that is the Ukraine. So you would want to use GB here. WordPress is set as standard to lang equals en-US. So if your website is on WordPress for the UK, you will need to change that. Lang equals fr-fr for French in France, or lang equals fr-ca for French in Canada. So you begin to be able to differentiate between different countries and languages here. Another techie piece, the character encoding should be set to UTF-8. The language direction, relevant if you are introducing Arabic, for example, into the website. For European languages, direction, DIR, equals left to right, LTR. And for Arabic, DIR equals right to left. So that needs to be changed. Otherwise, the search engines are reading your very expensive Arabic translation back to front, which you do not want. You will need a language sitemap. You will have a sitemap on your website for your current offer in the UK. You can either integrate your language pages into that or create a separate language sitemap. Don't forget, if you have video, you want to add a separate video sitemap as well. And you want to be ensuring that you have good language navigation on the website. And you can find much more about all of these technical aspects at w3.org/international. So we then have international web techniques, and this often creates a lot of debate. So using quality translation on your website, and make sure that's done by native speakers and you're not using Google Translate. People can access Google Translate if they wish to do a translation, but they are doing it. If you use Google Translate on your website, it is not 100% accurate quality translation. So the inference is, because you've done it, that you don't have your eye on quality. So please only use it for internal purposes. Geo-target any country or language pages, whether they're in Global English or whether they are in a local language, to that particular region. And you do that on Google Webmasters, which is now called Google Search Console. In Baidu and other search engines, it is still called Webmasters. So please make sure that you are using that geo-targeting. It is simply a click in the box on that particular page. Very, very easy to do. That means if I'm in if I'm in Brazil, I will see the Brazilian page because the search engines know which country I'm based in. So it gives me a better experience. You will want to use 301 redirects to direct local country code domains to your web offer. And if you are looking at countries, for example, like the United Arab Emirates or Switzerland, where they speak different languages in country, then you might want to consider using browser language detection. So the search engines can check what language you have your browser set to, and they can offer up that language to your audience. So again, really useful. The 2-letter country codes and the 2-letter language codes do differ. There are comprehensive lists of those on Wikipedia, which you can use as a reference, so you can be sure to get those language codes correctly. Now, there is something that is quite technical called an href lang tag, but they are very important to get right, so I have included them here. Now, this is just for a little bit of information for you. I would expect your web developers to do this for you, but it's always good for you to put that down on your list and make sure that that is part of the conversation. So essentially your href lang tags will say, well, the main website's in English, I've got a page in German, a page in French, a page in Spanish, and you are using those language codes. So lang equals DE-DE, for example, and you would have all of these listed out. So Google knows that there is a logic behind the duplicate content. There is a logic behind all of these pages that look similar. Duplicate content compromises your SEO results negatively. So you really do want to have this set out effectively. And it also tells Google how these pages interact and relate to each other, and that these different languages are intended for different countries. So please make sure that you get those href lang tags set up appropriately as well. But this is a lovely, easy guide. Yoast is the go-to SEO tool for WordPress, and they have great content. So this is a nice, easy, up-to-date, relevant piece of information for your benefit. So you can have a look at that. So I'd like you just to take a few moments now to reflect on what we've talked about. So we've looked at your strategy, whether you can get a generic top-level domain, how you want to set up your domain names, whether you're targeting countries or regions, whether you want to include just English language, how you can internationalize that, or whether you're going to include local languages. Do you want to buy country code domains? You can check those out on 101domains.com in terms of the rules and regulations. So just take a note now on your action sheet. What are the key criteria, and what do you need to be checking, and what do you need to be considering? And I would love to take, whilst you're thinking about that, any questions that you may have in the Q&A box. So just give them a few moments. Jot down your thoughts. Hopefully you've all got lots of ideas as to what you need and what's important for you right now. How are you doing, Amanda? Are you good? Have you got any thoughts on the session at the moment?
Yes.
Sorry, that was a little bit out of the blue, wasn't it? That was a bit random. Sorry, Amanda.
No thoughts for me, but please do ask Norma any questions in the live Q&A box. That's what it's for. So don't be shy.
Yeah.
We're here to help.
Good. Great. Okay, Amanda, thank you. So, and there are no questions coming through. I'm all sure you're all beavering away, and hopefully it all makes sense. So let's move on to your world-class web design. And what I'd like to look at here is your website pages and how they are laid
Norma,
out.
there is a quick question that just popped in. I don't know if you want to answer that before you move on.
Oh, do you know what I have? Yeah, I've got the discussion forum open by mistake. Patrick here, are there any countries where it's difficult to get the country level domain? Yes, Patrick, I would recommend you go have a look at 101domain.com. That will give you the requirements for that. There are some organizations, if you Google it actually, that will offer to secure those domains for you. If you have contacts in country, that could be partners, agents, family members, friends, etc. They do often need to have a registered business that would need to apply for that domain name. If you go down that route, make sure you do a little written agreement with them to say you're buying this on my behalf and it belongs to me. I think probably the most notoriously difficult but not impossible is China, where they are very strict. In some cases, I've heard people need to take in ID or send it in to be able to secure the local domain name. So 101 domain will help you in the first instance. But if you do have any specific questions above that, drop them in the box or contact me on LinkedIn afterwards and I'd be very happy to help. Okay, great, thank you. So yes, in terms of the design here, so good design is really important. All of these elements contribute to good SEO. So good design, well laid out, that's balanced, clear calls to action, and you'll see on the top of the page, so I'm pointing at my second screen here, at the top of the page, you will see, all of the important stuff around orders and shipping and guarantees and such like are in that red banner at the very top. So nice and clear and very prominent and visible. Content is absolutely critical. That's the petrol in the tank that will fuel your online content and website. Good navigation at the top level, credibility and unique selling points, building trust. We sometimes call those trust enforcers, are important to include throughout. You need the website to be mobile friendly. Mobile searches long ago exceeded searches on a normal PC. So it's really important, particularly for international, to get that right. Your social media buttons should be on there. And if you can, obviously, local contact details. Also give Google and the search engines confidence that you're a proper registered bricks and mortar business, or you have a registered address there, which gives them confidence that you are a trustworthy business. So all important aspects to get right. Now, this is a heat map of where people's eyes go in Google search results. It's exactly the same on a website. We call this the F pattern, and you can see a little bit of an F there. Top left-hand corner is the absolute hot spot. Our eye goes up top left, move across to the right. That's a great place for your call to action, buy or download something or get in touch. And then the headline on the second line of the F, and as you go down the page, you will see it starts to get darker. The red thick bar is where the fold is, where you have to scroll down. So you'll see at the bottom of the website, particularly on the right-hand side, it's a little bit of no man's land. There aren't as many visitors looking at those areas of the website. On mobile, it is completely different, and there are quite a lot of apps and software available now for you to actually be able to see what people are clicking on and which bits of content on the page are working harder for you, like Crazy Egg and different things like that. So wireframes are what your web developers will set up for you. So on that basis, top left-hand corner, logo and strapline is important. Top right-hand corner, your country or language selector. The navigation bar needs to come next. This one is a little bit too busy for me. I like to have no more than 7 and keep it simple. On the right-hand side, in that area that's not quite as attractive, jazz it up with some videos, some demos, special offers, sign-ups, sort of something a bit more interactive. Down at the bottom, boring stuff, because not many people are going to look there. Copyright, T's and C's, sitemaps, etc. And then in the middle, you want a good mix of images, of your best products and best-selling services. Remember, most people are looking for products and services. And of course, the benefits to the customer of what you are offering need to be stressed. Lots of images or animations, infographics, etc. And 100 to 150 words on the homepage will work well for you. Then you've got internal pages where you want headings and text. Remember Global English with bold bullet points, etc., where you can, and a good mix of words and images with strong calls to action. Okay, I've come to your website, I've had a look at it. What is it that you want me to do next? One of the top 10 hates on websites is you making clients work too hard to find out how they can navigate your website to get what they want. That means having strong calls to action. So it's a real top priority for you on your website. Then maybe a second level detail if you want to add a little bit more under the respective headers at the top, or you go for mega navigation, which looks like this, where you have a drop down that you can include more navigation and more potential for your customers. It also gives a good overview for clients of everything that's on offer on the website. You will need a 404 error page, preferably branded. So this is a golf company. They've lost their golf balls in the grass. And of course, you can't find the page, so it's nice and on topic and on brand. This is Lego's 404 error page or page not found. And this is an Australian clothing company, so injected a little bit of humor into it. So even when something goes wrong, you care. We then have different kinds of calls to action, and this is crazy, crazy, crazy. Changing a call to action color, changing its size slightly, or changing where it is placed on your website can make a huge difference. There's lots of good articles on the web about this. One of the best ones I've read recently was by HubSpot, who have some great free resources that you can tap into. So you will see here just some examples of different kinds of calls to action. So what I would recommend is trying some of these out. Do what we call A/B testing or split testing and have different pages where you're testing which ones will work best for your international audience. Images. And I do love this one. A picture speaks 1,000 words. And I would encourage you to use as many images, infographics, animations, video, etc. as you can to give your international clients a better experience. It puts less pressure on them to read your content and understand it. You can get so much more across with some quality visuals. So do tap into that. You still need content, obviously, but when it comes to words, only 7% of our communication is actually through words. Look and feel, perception, all of these things, tone and approach, all of these different modalities actually convey a huge amount of information to us. So that was some fundamentals around world-class web design. What I would like to tap into now is getting into this aspect of SEO basics and looking in a little more depth at global keyword research and what it entails there. So this video here, and I will invite you, you can jot this down on your action plan list, would invite you to take a look at this. It's years old. Oh gosh, I can't remember when I first watched this, certainly early 2000s, but it is still relevant and it is still available on Google Search Console. So do take the opportunity. If you type into Google How Search Works by Matt Cutts, you will find it. It's just a really nice, simple explanation of how search works back at Ranch Google. So one of the key elements of getting search right, as I've already mentioned, is doing keyword analysis. The million-dollar question is, what are my customers typing into Google and other search engines to find the products and services that I have on offer that can be of benefit to them? Now, if you have done your customer profiling exercise, which will entail brainstorming your clients, looking at all of the feedback, content, testimonials, etc. that you have from them, and using your experience across the team of engaging with customers, in that exercise, you will have gleaned a lot of the keywords and key phrases that they use to describe what it is that they are looking for, to describe your product and service offer, but they'll use their own words to do that. So, you know, some people may search online for an accountant, some people may search for a chartered accountant, some people will search for a bookkeeper, and other people will say, I want help with my cash flow. So how are people searching for what you have to offer? That question is one of the most important you can ask. Now, you will be able to go on and check your Google Analytics reports. You will be able to glean a lot of information from those. If you are using AdWords, you will obviously have spent some time looking at this, and you'll be able to look at what is mentioned there. I have forgotten to mention it here actually, but Google Trends is also a superb tool. You can search against certain keywords, and if you scroll down in googletrends.com, it will offer you alternate keywords, and it will show you which ones are trending at present. So that again is a rich source of information, and you can search globally or you can search locally to look at understanding what terms your clients are using. You may have noticed, although you may not have taken it in consciously, how it's important when you start typing into Google, Yahoo, or Bing, and they're all different. So I would recommend using each different search engine because you will get different results. As you start typing in, Google Instant pops up. So they are words or phrases underneath what you're typing into Google search that they are offering as suggestions. So what they are looking at is all of the search data they have. And if people started typing these letters, what were the most popular searches that came up? So this is really rich information for you because, you know, the plethora of Google searches that take place, they are offering up based on how you start that word. And as you type each individual letter in, you will see how Google Instant changes and starts offering more and more accurate results. From that, you have a list of some of the most important search terms, which you can jot down and start looking at more closely. So yesterday we talked as well about researching your competitors and their keywords. You can take a look at their content. If you have access to a web tool such as SEMrush or such like, you can look at extracting some of their keywords through that, or you simply right click on their website and click view page source, and you could go into the source code and have a look at the words there. But I think just grazing and seeing how your competitors on the website and on their social media call their product and service, how they engage with clients, what words they are using, is actually really, really useful. Have lots of conversations with clients, talk to them, ask them, what would you type into the search engines if you were looking for this? And brainstorm not just the technical words, but actually the layman's words. I was working with an electrical company. They have some sort of transformer which has a glowing curly piece in the middle, and it had a huge long name that was really difficult to remember, as you can tell. They would call them piglets. Now, they used the technical name on the website and didn't get any results, but the minute they included the word piglets on the website, they started getting some good results through. So all of these things are important to take note of. And of course, use search engine keyword tools and listen to your customers. Really, really important to jot those down. Conversion rates by keyword phrase length. When I first started out in 2001, we just used to type in one words. Now it is the 3 and 4 word phrases that are the most popular. So it's actual phrases we are looking for. So we're looking to what we call mid to long tail searches that you will be also looking to optimize for on your website and in your content. Internationally, and thanks to Social Bee for this infographic, you need to be mindful of different ways of calling things. So biscuit, cookie, butty, sandwich, chips, fries, etc. So looking up the words that are used in English in different countries, and when it comes to translation, making sure that you've got native speakers who understand what words might be used regionally as well. So we recommend that you sign up for Google Search Console and Baidu Webmasters and such like. When you do that, you are basically saying who sees your website, who doesn't see your website is information it will provide you as well, and who doesn't visit your website. They've seen it, but they're not coming and they're not engaging. So Google Search Console gives you a plethora of tools that you can use to expand your knowledge. They've got a Webmaster Academy on there, lots of videos and guides and learning for you, but it's also a powerful tool in terms of supporting your SEO. So please do check out Google Console. Whereas Google Analytics is really looking at who visits your website, and you can link your Google Analytics and your Google Ads so that they are talking to each other as resources, and you get a better quality experience and a better set of resources at your disposal. So please make sure that you're signed up for Google Search Console. In terms of analytics, measuring obviously what you are doing online and what results are coming through is extremely important to refining and improving your SEO activities on an ongoing basis. Google Analytics can be quite complicated, but actually in its simple format, it will produce reports and give you some really, really valuable information. So you will get an overview of your users or unique users. It will give you unique users who are counted only once over a particular period, rather than users who might be coming to your website repeatedly. You can, if you are an e-commerce business, also set up goals in Google Analytics to convert those user figures to actual monetary values, which makes it really relevant and pertinent, actually, which is a really useful thing to do. And you can start to see how these users and visits to the website are actually impacting your pipeline and your sales. You get a view, you get a view by country. So they will give you a map here. And you can see the countries that are in the darker blue have obviously more traffic. In this case, we're looking at sessions, and you then get a overview of devices. So here we can tell on these particular results that I've pulled up to give to you as examples. Mobile devices had 86.7% of searches. This was specifically in Japan, which is what I'd expect, because mobile in the Far East is really, really important and prevalent. On the desktop here, we have 12.5% and tablets 0.8%. So it starts to give you an idea of what devices people are using to access your content, which really helps in terms of you providing that content to them in the best possible way. We have here a more detailed view where you get to see new users, how many sessions they're looking at, what the bounce rate is. Here it was 43%. I'd prefer to see that down in the 30s. So the bounce rate is when someone comes to a web page and leaves without clicking anywhere else. And the average session duration in this case was 1 minute 25 seconds. I'd like to see that up in the 3-4 minutes at least. So you start to get metrics. When we talked about benchmarking yesterday, you start to understand where you're at now, and you can start setting some goals for your digital strategy, which will give you focus and clarity as to what and how you can achieve things. So country focus, and of course you get the language focus as well with the same statistics available, but this gives you a good view of the top 10 countries that are visiting your website, and of course the top 10 languages that are used in terms of people's browsers who are visiting your website as well. So in terms of your keyword and phrase planning, research and interview customers is the first job. If you interview your customers once you've profiled them internally, you will get a huge amount of keywords and key phrases. I can't stress how invaluable that is to the whole process. Use a keyword spreadsheet for control. I have my example on the next slide for you, and we'll be sharing that in the one-to-one sessions with people who want to have a session with me and it's relevant for them. Check and refine your keywords on an ongoing basis, and watch out for emerging trends using Google Trends and Keyword Planner and things like that. Never be complacent or make assumptions about your keywords, and make sure that you are using the data and following it and staying in tune with your customers for optimum results. So this is my keyword planner that I based on a tool from HubSpot and have amended and adapted and refined it. So down on the left-hand column, you would list every page on your website, and then as you move across, you would put, so for the home page, what's the key message on that page? What content do I need for that page, and who will provide that content? So this is great for planning your new website or your new international section. What calls to action will I include on that page? So really important to get that call to action prominent. Have I got testimonials and case studies which can increase trust and confidence in you, according to Nielsen Retail Research, by as much as 93%? And then you can add more columns in there to suit your purposes. You will then, in English, map out your current and proposed URLs, because the length matters, your page, current page title, proposed page title, and your meta descriptions. And the nice thing, when you drop these into this Excel spreadsheet, it automatically calculates the character length for you. So this is a great spreadsheet to use to support your SEO developments. As I mentioned, I'll be sharing that with people in the one-to-one sessions if you would like to have access to those. In terms of keywords and where you place them on the page, they need to go in the URLs. So make sure they are keyword rich. That's where the search engines come first and foremost. They need to be in the title and meta description, in the menu and navigation elements, in the headings on the page. Any images should be named using keywords and have alt tags on them. You input those in your content management system as you're uploading the photographs. The keyword should be in the main content of the website and in any reviews that you have on there. So they are the power areas for your keyword content. This is the BBC website in English, the news website. If we look at the meta title here, BBC News World in blue, that's the meta title. The meta description is that paragraph in this red circle here. That meta description is important for keywords and SEO results to a degree, but it's particularly important for your customers who will also be deciding whether they are going to visit you based on what they read there. So keyword rich, impactful, and a quality read is essential. And there you can see the meta description in more detail. And if you are translating into foreign languages, you need to do the same thing. You will have your meta title and your meta description. That needs to be input into your web pages in that particular language. So here you'll see the BBC's meta description in Arabic as well. It's an important process where you will now understand that the translation is not just the content that you can see on the page, it's what we call the metadata as well. So there are more places where you can place your headers, the headings on the page. We've talked about alt tags, fire pages, etc. But keywords can be used in image and video or PDF files. But across all of the content here on the right-hand side, glossaries, FAQs, sitemaps, etc., your keywords work really, really hard for you in all of these areas. So some SEO tips that I will run through with you very quickly from SEMrush, because I do want to get down to some actions and some questions from you. So please do think about what questions you may wish to ask. So artificial intelligence is very much on the rise, and it is well worthwhile taking that into consideration for this next year and taking a forward view, I think, is appropriate in 2020 for the next decade. Voice search is also very much on the rise. We're becoming much more familiar with that, and it will impact search queries significantly. Mobile friendliness is still absolutely crucial and rising more and more. And you need to make sure that the content fulfills Google's EAT principle. This is all about authentic, trustworthy content. You know, that is one of the most important aspects, that you're delivering a quality read, but it's authoritative, it's trustworthy, and it is having the right impact on your audience. Long form content will rank higher, so those long tail keyword searches and particularly longer content, so not just short articles and posts, but the search engines really want to see more content there that they can get to grips with. Featured snippets will be more prominent, and predictive search is also set to improve. So all technical aspects that we'll see more of. We know effective SEO strategies will include much more video, and you know, we use a lot of video here, but over 85% of all content consumed on mobile devices in the Far East is video content, and 80% of those people are watching it with the sound turned off. So really important to consider using clips at the bottom of the page using subtitles so that you get those onto the video and get those translated as well into the languages that you have chosen. Image optimization will play a greater role on Google. I don't know about you guys, but I'm certainly using image searches much more now. And if you don't have the right tags on there, the search engines do not know what it is a picture of. So semantically related words are important. So including different words and different ways of describing things, so Google gets a real sense of the context. And local search listings are also more important. So this aspect of really acting local and being more active in the local search engines is definitely a key aspect as well. And, you know, using your data and analytics to really understand how your website is performing for you, and using that information to bring intelligence and inform your activities is absolutely critical. So hopefully you found those quite useful as well, courtesy of SEMrush. So action planning, down to business now. So thank you very much for taking that in and for joining us this morning. What I would encourage you to do is to take some time out, maybe give yourselves a month to take time out to start planning your international website optimization, your project. And do some careful preparation, maybe listen through to this webinar again, look at some of the resources on Search Console that I've mentioned, and look to get that plan in place, because if you put the work in at this stage, when you come to implementing and measuring and refining, not only will it become more effective, but you will also get better results. So look at your plan, and you've hopefully jotted down quite a lot of actions and thoughts and recommendations today. Pick out the top 2 or 3 that seem most pertinent to you. Give yourself a quick hit, a quick win to keep you motivated. And then if you are looking at bigger pieces of work, just think about what's the very next thing I need to do, which may be really easy and simple to move this forward. You can only eat the elephant one chunk at a time. So do chunk it up into pieces at the one-to-one. I've got a wonderful action plan template, which will really help you to prioritize this and manage those actions. If you have a team or you're working with outsourced people, it can be really helpful. And do look at, you know, allocating budget, and please do go back and talk to the LEP or contact UMI, who are managing this program, to look at what potential funding might be available to you as well. In terms of people, be kind to yourself and look at what you can and should be doing yourself, and what would be more efficient or more kind to you to actually outsource. And don't forget, we have got some amazing students both at school and at university who would really benefit from some experience in business, but also some work. So look to potentially taking on students or even apprentices. And for students at colleges and universities, there is sometimes some funding to supporting you in the business. And do get some feedback from customers and friends and people you know in terms of your developments as they are ongoing. So thank you so much. I really miss seeing everybody when I am on these webinars. I'm sort of talking to myself here on video for 2 hours. I've really missed meeting you personally, but it's wonderful that you have been able to join us on the session today. So please do drop some thoughts or any questions that you might have into the Q&A box. I will be very happy to answer those for you today. hopefully provide you with a little bit more support. Just a reminder, and I'll skip through what we have looked at today, because I do want to remind you about booking further webinars. We have 2 to be announced that you can give us suggestions for, but more importantly, your one-to-one sessions with me. These are online, they are very productive, they can be totally tailored to your needs, so whatever you would like to talk through with me, it's a dedicated hour for you, which can bring a lot of clarity and focus and support from someone independent and impartial. So just time for you to get your head